Always love having guys on this show, whether I agree with them or disagree with them. Whether it's Fox News, CNN, I always like hearing different points of view from very intelligent people. And certainly the guy we have with us on the line is, no question, one of those, a civil rights attorney. You know him, of course, from all over Fox News, many appearances on the Sean Hannity Show, the show that comes right after us from noon to 3 p.m. He is none other than Leo Terrell, and his Twitter account, of course, at the Leo Terrell. Leo, thanks so much for joining us. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Leo?
Guys, very happy to be here. I think this is my second appearance on your show.
It is.
Absolutely.
We must have done.
Enjoyed it.
We must have done something well in that first appearance that you came on. Thanks, Leo. I appreciate.
Question.
I appreciate that, Leo. That means a lot. All right, so I'm going to get right into it with you. So you recently said you are 100% voting for Donald Trump. Tell us why.
First time I've ever voted Republican in my entire life. I'm voting for Donald Trump. Very simple. Joe Biden's an empty suit. What I mean by that is very, very clear. I haven't heard a single policy supporting why I should vote for Joe Biden. The Democrats are out on one particular issue, anybody but Trump. And basically, in my opinion, if you look at what Donald Trump has accomplished, if you look at what Donald Trump has done so far, it really is a no-brainer. Final point. Let's be very clear. Democratic Party has been taken over by Black Lives Matter. Democratic cities are burning. They're in turmoil. Democratic mayors will not take any action against Black lives. In my opinion, Democratic Party has abandoned law and order.
All right, so you're going with policy on this one. That's why you're supporting Donald Trump. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
All right,
it's very fair to say.
So as you know, we disagree on not necessarily policy as much as, I've talked about this with you before. I just think Donald Trump is a horrible human being. But I want to ask you this. As an African-American, when Donald Trump attacks NASCAR for banning the Confederate flag, when Donald Trump is asked in an interview with CBS and he's not even willing to share his opinion on the Confederate flag, in essence defending the Confederate flag, as an African-American, how does that make you feel?
Very simply, and let me be clear. I think I have a great qualification. I've been a civil rights attorney for 30 years, fighting against discrimination. So I don't think anybody can question my qualification. Google me up on cases that I've handled. But let's be very clear. If you take those issues that you just articulated, then you're missing the point. Look at how many African Americans were right next to Donald Trump before he became president. Facts while he's in president. Funded historic black colleges more than any other president, including Obama. Lower unemployment rate among African Americans, including Obama. Have tried to push forward a justice reform bill that was never done into the Obama administration. More importantly, the first step, giving people who have been incarcerated via the Joe Biden incarceration bill of 1994. So if you look at those accomplishments, and you've heard what Joe Biden has said, his alliance with Klan members, Robert Byrd, his comment about Barack Obama is a articulate black man. I mean, if you listen to his gas.
All right, you're talking about Joe Biden.
No
okay, so but you're talking. I hear you, but you're talking about Joe Biden. My question is about Trump. I don't think hanging out. I don't think hanging out with Diamond and Silk means you're not a racist. That's number one. I don't care how many black people he's hung out with. You know his history and his father's history. That's number one. Number two, I ask you a very simple question about the Confederate flag. Why is it that he had a problem with the BLM sign on a public street, by the way, which was perfectly legal? And then he talks about freedom of speech, and then he defends the Confederate flag. So he defends the Confederate flag, and then he has a problem with a BLM sign in a public street. Explain that one for me, because I don't understand, Leo.
Let me get directly to your question. I apologize. You may reference the Diamond and Silk, but I was referring to people like
I understand. I was making a joke.
I know that. I know. I got it. But let me deal with the Confederate flag.
Fair enough.
There is a way to take down the Confederate flag, and it's called either a private decision if it's a private company.
It was,
or if it's a public facility that has the Confederate flag, you make a decision by voting, a la Mississippi. So the fact that he doesn't have a problem with it, you have to ask why. And let's face it, there's called states' rights, local rights, and let the people decide to take it down. So I don't find anything inconsistent with his position on the Confederate flag at all.
Then why did he go after the BLM mural that was perfectly legal? Why did he go after de Blasio for the BLM sign but not the Confederate flag?
Great question. You should even ask Leo Terrell. I think the Black Lives Matter issue, let me be clear, is a joke. Let me be clear, and play the Don Lemon tape if you get a chance. Black Lives Matter says, according to Don Lemon, we only care if it's a police officer killing a black man. We don't care about black lives if it's black on black crime.
Yeah, well, that's
we don't
absurd.
Care if it's black. We don't care if it's
Yeah.
Black Lives, if it's a police officer. So as far as I'm concerned, that Black Lives sign in front of the Trump Tower was a publicity stunt. And let me be very clear. There are people of color on law enforcement departments as throughout this entire country.
Okay.
That's a red herring.
So let's talk about BLM for a second. This is my opinion on BLM, and maybe we'll agree, maybe we'll disagree. I have no doubt, Leo, that there are some radical people in the BLM movement, sadly, some of these so-called organizers. But my feeling is the majority of the people that have been protesting throughout the country, the majority of the people that are with the movement, they want black people to be treated as equals when it comes to law enforcement. Now, I agree with you. The name Black Lives Matter is very misleading. I don't like the name, but let's not confuse that with what many of the good people in the movement are doing.
It's very ambiguous, Brian.
That's fine, but many of the people in the movement, in my personal opinion, are good people. They just want to be treated as equals. They're sickened to what happened to George Floyd. They're sickened to what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. Yes, I agree with you that the name can be misleading, but can you at least agree with me on that? The majority of these people are not bad people. The majority of these people are not rioters. They're not burning down Democratic states. The majority of these people are good people that want good for minorities in this country. Can we agree on that?
Let me think about that. No, absolutely not. Give me the list of these people you're talking about, the majority of them. I mean, is it Hawk Newsom in New York? Give me the names.
The people that are protesting.
No. You want me to agree with you? Who are they? I don't even know who they are.
So you think the majority of the people in the Black Lives Matter movement are bad people? Is that what you're saying?
Let me answer. Let me be clear. Black Lives Matter gets an A+ on social messaging. As far as, what they have done. They got corporations pouring millions of dollars into their coffers. And I don't know where it's going. But let me be clear. You give me a list of Black Lives members before you want me to concede, because I don't know who they are. And I'm being very honest. Who are they?
Could be talking about Patricia Kohlers, who I believe said publicly she was a trained Marxist, who went on, I want to say, Jake Tapper's show and then said that her new goal was to get Donald Trump out of office. Could we talking about the one that started at Black Lives Matter Toronto, who called Caucasians a subhuman species?
Yeah.
Either of those, I guess.
Preach.
Leo,
I don't know who they are. And then there's the one in L.A. She talks about we want to defund the police.
Right.
And we want 99. Give me the names. You called out the question. I'll take that challenge. Give me the list of people who are
the only way,
people.
as you know, the only way that I could do that would be to go into a Black Lives Matter protest, interview thousands of people, take down their names, which I'm not willing to do. I just simply believe
just put on a mask,
that
Brian.
the majority of those people that are involved with the movement that agree with the message that yes, Black lives do matter, and yes, African Americans, the way they're treated as a whole by law enforcement, there needs to be some changes there. But you know what? Let me give you another name, and that is Mary Trump. I want to talk about this.
Okay, sounds good.
Donald Trump's niece was on MSNBC's Rachel Maddow show. I'm not a fan of Rachel Maddow, by the way. I'll say I never watch her show because I think she's boring. But that being said, I thought you might agree with me on that one, Leo. That being said, I want you to listen, Leo, to what Mary Trump said about Donald Trump, his family, and the use of the N-word. Have a listen to this, and then we'll discuss it.
Oh, yeah, of course I did. And I don't think that should surprise anybody, given how virulently racist he is today. Have you heard the president use the N-word? Yeah. And anti-Semitic slurs specifically? Yes.
All right, Leo, what's your response to that?
Here's the response. You got a very biased extremist host, and you have a woman selling books. So she's got to sell books. My understanding is she sold 950,000 this first week.
Yeah, she broke the record.
You think I'm going to accept just because she said that and she's motivated in court? I'd tear her apart in cross-examination. I said, aren't you selling a book right now? Come on now. You're gonna make me give credibility to that statement? She's selling a book right now.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm sure you would agree with me that just because you're selling a book doesn't necessarily mean you're lying, does it?
And just because she said that her uncle said these words, I'm not gonna necessarily believe her as well.
All right. Well, listen, I'm just going to the fact of Donald Trump's past, and I know you named some stuff that Donald Trump has done for minorities, but I've also named some things as well. All the lawsuits that he's faced, his history with his father. We know that his father was a Klan member. Good people on both sides. Charlottesville. I mean, the list goes on and on. He called NFL players that take a knee sons of bitches. I just look at all these things, and yes, he did defend the Confederate flag, and I understand we just had that discussion. I put all these two together. I say 2 and 2. It's a lot more than 2. It's like 50-2. And I say to myself, I don't think that's out of the. I understand what you're saying. She's trying to sell a book and make money. I get that. But with that being said, can we just use that as an excuse and assume that she's lying?
Let me sit here and say this. You give a good argument, but I'll just mention one famous senator, former class member, Robert Byrd. Robert K.K.K. Byrd.
I agree.
A Klans member. He was the Senate Majority Leader for the Democrats. How do you sit there and attack Trump and you don't bring up Byrd?
Okay, but that's whataboutism. Robert Byrd is a despicable person. But you're absolutely right.
Also a close friend of Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden.
Okay, but I agree.
Joe Biden.
Leo, I agree with you, but that doesn't.
Okay.
But that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't change that list I just gave you of Donald Trump.
Here's the problem, and this is why. And look, again, I want everyone on your show to know this. I have been a civil rights attorney for 30 years. Google me up. No one can challenge my credibility on this. But if you have an R in front of your name, you can't be fair-minded. You can't be a civil rights activist. And that's the joke that the Democrats have played on black folks. If you are a Republican, you can't be for us. And that is a lie. Because you got Tim Scott trying to push forward a justice reform bill.
Right.
And guess who knocks it down? 2 black senators on the Democratic side.
Which I disagree
Kamala Harris
with.
and Cory Booker. And Kamala Harris has put more black people in jail than any other attorney general in the state of California. That is the problem with the politics of the Democratic Party. And I woke up and I smelled the coffee.
Yeah, you're one of the first, we'll call it political figures, to actually be outspoken about not agreeing with Black Lives Matter. Based on what happened with the 501c3, as you know, BLM is not their own 501c3. They use Thousand Currents. And Thousand Currents has someone on their board of directors who is who was a terrorist. She was a convicted terrorist who spent time behind bars. Her name is Susan Rosenberg. Now, Antifa has been declared a domestic terrorist organization. Do you think that BLM is on their way of being declared a domestic terrorist organization?
Oh, I think yes. Answer the yes, because of what's happening in the last 6 weeks. Does anyone believe this protesting and this rioting is the result of George Floyd? Because it's not true. It's being used as a pretext. And these riots and protesting going on, well organized. There is an organization that is terrorizing America in democratic cities. And I think Black Lives Matter is going to be investigated on good, reliable sources as to whether or not it's an extremist, a.k.a. terrorist organization. I'm telling you right now, there's investigations ongoing on that particular organization.
He is Leo Terrell, civil rights attorney. Check him out on Sean Hannity all the time. Also, his Twitter is a great follow, at the Leo Terrell on Twitter. By the way, Leo, I did miss a couple things when it comes to Donald Trump and racism. My friend just reminded me the Central Park Five. The Central Park Five. He never apologized for that.
Just go down that checklist, Brian.
The Mexican rapist comments that he made. How about the Mexican judge when he said he couldn't do his job because he's Mexican? So I just wanted to add those in there as well, but we can move on now, Leo. Leo, I think we're going to agree on something, my friend, and that is Nick Cannon. I think Nick Cannon is a disgrace. The anti-Semitic comments that he made are despicable. The African Americans that have come forward defending him, the Puff Daddies of the world, they are also despicable. If these African Americans out there, and I've said this on the show, and I've been very hard on this, where are they? Where are they calling out Nick Cannon? Instead, some of these people like Dwayne Wade are defending him. Let me tell you something. I don't want I don't want to hear from these African Americans when it comes about the atrocities and slavery. If they can't even defend anti-Semitism, I think they've lost their voice. What do you say?
Preach. I love you. Because you're dead right. Isn't that amazing? They want to talk about, when blacks are being victimized, it's a civil rights issue. Nick Cannon is a disgrace. He should be terminated.
Agree.
But the silence by the black celebrities, athletes, is deafening. Crickets. And what do they get? See, here's a myth. Black people get a pass because some people think that they can't be racist. And I got news for you.
Yeah.
Racist, discriminatory, anti-gay, there's a lot of black celebrities and athletes. They don't speak out with the
Where's
same
LeBron
fervor.
James? Where's LeBron? Where's LeBron
I don't
James?
know. Where's Steven Jackson?
Right.
Steven Jackson. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I am not part of that group, and I hope every one of these athletes listening to this show right now, because they are, in my opinion, sellouts.
Deshaun Jackson.
You got to be consistent.
Deshaun Jackson is another thing. Okay, now listen, I appreciate Deshaun Jackson for this reason. I think he was very ignorant. He made some dumb comments. We all could agree on that. But he is actually going to some of the sites where the Holocaust was.
He's making an effort.
He is putting money into the Jewish community. I accept his apology.
Oh, come on.
I do.
Come on.
I accept his
He's
apology.
doing that because he's going to listen. There's an economic blowback. Why do you think Nick Cannon? I think he did a
That wasn't an apology.
He apologized twice.
Nick Cannon, that was not an apology, though.
Oh, no. Well, I agree. It's not an apology. But Deshaun Jackson, no, he meant it. The only reason why he's contributing now he's seen the light because his economic livelihood is at stake. That's the only reason.
That might be possible. Okay, that might be possible. But all I'm saying is this, Leo. I want actions put together there. And he is taking action. I will give him credit for that. Do I think he's ignorant? Yes. But what Nick Cannon did and what Deshaun Jackson did are two completely different things. Deshaun Jackson is going to some Holocaust sites with a Holocaust survivor. He's donating money to the Jewish community. He's apologized. That's a hell of a lot better than what Nick Cannon has done.
Okay. Marginal. But you know what? Marginal. I agree with you, and I agree on Nick Cannon. We disagree on Deshaun Jackson because he's only doing it because he's going to lose his job if he doesn't.
I hope you're wrong. I don't know.
Leo, what are your thoughts on Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot calling out Kayleigh McEnany, press secretary, and referring to her as a quote-unquote Karen? Do you think that should be considered a racial slur at this point?
I think it not only should be considered a racial slur, but I tweeted that out. I said that Mayor Lightfoot is in second place in the running for the worst mayor in this nation, next to to de Blasio. Look, Mayor Lightfoot should be embarrassed. She turned down federal assistance from the president. There's black-on-black crime every week in that city, and I don't want a single person to tell me there's systemic discrimination in Chicago when you got a black mayor and you got black leadership and people of color are dying. That is another one of those Democratic talking points. Oh, there's racism. How can you have racism in Chicago when the mayor is black?
Well, I mean, I think
it's great.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I think there's still.
Come on, no.
There's still
get off on that.
Oh wait, but just because the mayor is black, it doesn't mean there's not racism out there. What does that have to do with it?
Do you think there's systemic discrimination in the city of Chicago?
I think there's racism everywhere.
I didn't ask you that question.
Everywhere.
Do you think there's systemic discrimination in the city of Chicago run by a black mayor and a black police chief at one time?
Absolutely.
You want me to
100%.
think that? Oh,
you know why? So you're telling me that you don't think a black person has ever been mistreated by law enforcement in Chicago? Is that what you're saying? Because that's ridiculous.
No. That's not called systemic discrimination. Systemic discrimination is when you got a pattern or a practice or a policy that you are going to discriminate or treat one group more favorable than another. I'll give you an example. In Georgia, Alabama, in the 1950s, the 1950s do not exist in 2020, and you know that as well as I do.
Well, that doesn't mean there's not racism just because we're not in the 1950s.
Racism, yeah. But don't use the word systemic discrimination, not in Chicago.
All right, well, I think we're getting into the weeds. As a whole, yes, I do think I think black people are treated differently than white people in this country.
You're conflating individual racism with systemic racism.
Speaking of racism, let's talk about.
I heard that. He's right.
Let's talk about Bubba Wallace and Donald Trump for a second here. The story had gone away. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump, a few weeks later, is saying that Bubba Wallace should apologize. The facts speak for themselves, okay? Bubba Wallace didn't do anything wrong. NASCAR, you want to argue that they jumped the gun? That's fine. I'll have that discussion. NASCAR went to Bubba. They said he was the victim of a hate crime. They're the ones who contacted the FBI. Of course Bubba Wallace was upset. Of course he lashed out. Why should Bubba Wallace have to apologize?
Because Bubba Wallace could have done more than just sit there and watch what actually happened. He raised a national crisis by sitting there and assuming that what was told to him was true.
Why would he think they were lying?
Why do you think he has some personal responsibility to make sure the facts are straight? His people, his inside people. You think he had?
All right, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Then. Let's just say you're working in your office, you leave for lunch, and then your boss comes up to you and said somebody put the N-word, wrote the N-word on your desk, okay? They said they were going to contact the FBI. Wouldn't you be upset and wouldn't you tell people about that?
Let me answer that question directly. I would ask about 50 questions before any action was taken.
How do you not know that he didn't ask those questions? How do you know that Bubba didn't do the same thing and didn't ask questions to the NASCAR president?
Bubba was very quiet when it was revealed that it wasn't somebody placed a hangman's noose there. He was very quiet because I think he was embarrassed. I personally think he was embarrassed.
Well, I don't think he has anything to be embarrassed about. I'm glad that the FBI investigated it. I guess it'll lead me to my next question is this. I respect the fact that you're voting for Donald Trump. I have
Thank you.
I understand that it's policy, and I respect anyone who's voting for Donald Trump when it comes to policy. As you know, I just have a problem with people that are not willing to admit that Donald Trump is a horrible human being. With that being with that being said, Leo, I don't think Sean Hannity will call Donald Trump a horrible human being. But with that being said, Donald Trump has never apologized for anything. He's attacked women on looks. He's attacked POWs and John McCain. He's attacked minorities. He's attacked Gold Star families. Have you ever heard Donald Trump say, gosh, I was really wrong. I shouldn't have said that. I apologized. He's never done that before. He's the last person on the planet that should be telling somebody else to apologize.
Why is that necessary? It must be necessary for you, but it's not necessary for me when I look at his accomplishments policy-wise. It's not necessary. And everybody in this country, we all have individual choices. Your call of your question, it's not a prerequisite for me to vote for him. I'm voting for him on policy, not on
even if it's not a prerequisite for you. And again, I respect that. It's not a prerequisite for me either. All I'm saying is, why should he be telling other people to apologize when he is the chief of never apologizing for anything, including telling people to inject themselves with disinfectant? He never apologized for that.
He does like to double down.
He lied about it. Yeah, I mean, can't this man? Does he have any empathy, and can he apologize for anything that he's ever done in his life?
If you know what, again, if people are hung up on his inability to have a moral conscience, don't vote for him.
Well,
get him out of office.
You're talking about me.
But if you want to vote for policy, I'm voting for policy, and that's why for the first time in my life I'm voting Republican. Never have in my entire life.
All right. Well, Leo, I hear you. And like I said, I am not one of those people. I think people are disgraced when they say if you vote for Trump, you must be a racist. I am not one of those people. I want to hear people out. You're obviously a very intelligent guy. It's about policy for you, and I respect that. But I think we both understand each other. I understand where you're coming from. I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yes.
Regardless of policy, I think Joe Biden is a decent human being. Now, you might disagree with me on that, but I think Biden is not a bad person. I think he's a decent human being.
100%. I think he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
and that's where it is. I think from a personality standpoint, I think he's a nice guy.
Yeah, and listen, we all vote for different reasons, right? I mean, and that's just me personally. I'm voting for Joe Biden because I think he's a decent human being. I don't know how he's going to be as president of the United States, but it just gets exhausting every day when we see the horrible things that Donald Trump says and does on a regular basis.
Considering, Brian, this is for you, considering Joe Biden's mental state, do you think that he will make his own decisions in office?
First of all, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to speculate on that.
Leo, what do you think?
Oh, come on. He's not. Listen, that's an empty suit. He's got surrogates. He's not making decisions. He's Woodrow Wilson, 1917.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Donald Trump doesn't.
He's Woodrow Wilson. He's Woodrow Wilson. Everybody knows that.
All right.
Listen, Brian, you know as well as I do. It's not all there. Okay, we don't have to be a doctor. Just the way he carries himself. He's like a great-grandfather you get ice cream for.
Well, you know what? I'll go a step further and say Donald Trump is not mentally well either. He's got the thinnest skin of everybody I've never seen in my life. You can't look me with a straight eye and say Donald Trump is all there either. But we'll end on that one. Leo, I got to tell you, my man, I always appreciate it when you come on this show.
Love you guys.
You are the best.
You guys are good questions. I love it.
Thank you, Leo.
Thanks a lot, Leo.
You're the best, my man. You're one of my favorite guests. Thanks for coming on.
Leo, promise me you will interview Terry Crews at some point.
Will do. I love Terry Crews.
I love it. Leo, have a great day, my man. I appreciate you.
Take care, guys.
All right, thank you. That is Leo Terrell, civil rights attorney. Check him out on Twitter at the Leo Terrell. Leo is a great guy. We don't always agree on everything. We agree, by the way, more on than we disagree on. I will say that.